Episode 111 of the podcast, the word energy. So the word energy means different things to different people, and terminology is used to convey information accurately. What other ways can we describe using energy? Tune in this week for the Skeptics Guide to Animal Handling.
You're listening to the Creating Great Grooming Dogs podcast. I'm Chrissy Newmeyer-Smith. I'm a certified professional groomer, a certified behavior consultant for canines, a certified professional dog trainer, and the owner of Happy Critters in Nashua, New Hampshire. And this, my friends and colleagues, is the podcast where grooming and training meet.
So in the grooming world, we're often talking about using your energy. Use your energy, and how we're going to use our energy to help this dog. And it drives me crazy. So I'm gonna unpack that. We're going to talk about that more because I don't think you need to have any sort of a religious or mystical background to do good handling. And we can talk more about what actually is happening when we're handling dogs that is often referred to as good energy. The purpose of our terminology is accuracy. So here's the problem with energy. Energy is not an accurate term. Now, I'm going to say, I know because I lost a bunch of people there. There are a lot of us who use the term energy and swear by it. Like, oh no, I shift my energy. And here's the thing. I believe in energy. Okay, that's part of a belief system though. That's not what my scientific brain latches onto. So the Vulcan brain in here, the logical side, cannot tell people use your energy because that doesn't make sense for so many people. And we can be more accurate. What are we actually doing when we're using our energy? Because if you ask different groomers, they will tell you different things. So for some, using your energy would be being stern, right? That would be taking charge, taking no guff, right? To be strong. And then for others, it means finding your inner calm and having a happy attitude. Now, clearly, those two things are not the same. They're not the same, yet we use the same word. And that's where it's getting really muddy. And what I'm not seeing is real context when we're talking about energy. Because like I said, usually what we're hearing is, use your energy and all right, so it drives me a little bit crazy too. When I hear things like, well, we're not going to do anything wishy-washy and we don't talk to the dogs. We're going to use our energy because there is nothing more wishy-washy than telling someone we're going to use energy. Like, you can't have both. And then in the same sentence, my Vulcan brain can't wrap around that. Like, no, these things do not happen together. So here's what we're really doing when we're using energy. Okay, is that we are setting the mood. We're setting the tone. We're using our body language. And that is something we can replicate. That is something we can measure. That is something we can tailor to an individual dog in an individual situation. Because the other part of saying using your energy is if you don't understand what the goal is, you might use your energy. I know, I'm sorry. Some of you were like, Chrissy, don't bash energy, but I have to. And believe me, I believe in energy, okay? But I cannot describe to a skeptic, right, how to handle animals with the terms energy. That's not going to work for a skeptic. And it's not particularly accurate. So let's all think like Vulcans for a little while, right? What is really happening? So a dog who's being really, really silly, the energy, right? What if you're trying to be really stern? That might not work with this dog. What if your idea of energy is to be gentle and loving? And that might not help calm this dog down. We need to think about the body language and the mood that we are setting, because then we can say, all right, I'm going to calm this dog down by being calm. I'm going to slow down my breathing. I might slow down the rate of brushing. for a little while, like the tempo, the rate that I'm doing things. Instead of brush, 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 I might slow it down. Brush, 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 brush. That's tempo. That's the rate that you're working. I might have to be a little bit like, hey, relax, that's enough. Because that's the way their owners deal with them, which is the times that I do it, is when I have observed that that's the way an owner talks to their dog, and their dog responds well to it. Their dog's like, oh, I guess this is serious time, right? But those are things that a skeptic can wrap their brain around. Like, oh, I'm setting the mood. If I want calm, I need to calm myself down and model calm. If I want a dog to be less worried, I might encourage that dog to be playful. And that's something you don't usually hear, right? But that dog that's cowering on your table has got their tail between their legs and they're crouched, and you come over, and maybe the solution for that dog is to try to get them a little bit silly. Okay, how can I describe silly? I can be playful. I can use silly high-pitched voices. I might pull out a toy or some treats or do some silly stuff that play around with different ways that dogs play and see if I can get this dog to relax for me. Okay? Or I could say, use your energy, which is a cop-out. Use your energy doesn't tell you anything. So if it's a scared dog, I might try to play with them a little bit, right? Be silly. And that's when the squeaky voices might come out, and read the dog, because it's not just about us and our energy. It's the dog's energy. You see where this goes? We're using one term to mean 1,000 different things, and we're not being specific about it. So the dog's energy, what are we really looking for? Calm, comfortable, and cooperative. And whichever way we need to work with that dog to get them there. So the dog who's super, super silly needs to be calmed. The dog who is super, super worried might also need to be calmed. Or they might need to be cheered up. There's a term we don't hear very often in grooming. Cheer him up. But get playing with them, get goofing with them a little bit, and see if that helps to produce the behaviors you're looking for of calm, comfortable, and cooperative. So that's what we're always thinking about, what we are doing and the way that affects the animal. And instead of calling it energy, I'd rather us start thinking about it in terms of setting the mood, setting the tone, reading the dog, reading the results of our behavior on the dog, because it's an interaction. And we're describing an interaction between two living beings. One is a groomer, one is an animal, and the interaction between us, and if it helps bring that animal toward our goal, toward calm, comfortable, and cooperative, which is the opposite of stressed, anxious, frustrated, uncomfortable, right? All of those things which we know cause behavior problems. So I can talk to you about the ways to look for stress, but I think it's easier to spot if a dog is comfortable yet. And just for clarity's sake, sometimes it's best to throw out the easiest version, right? Like, do we all want to be behavior geeks? Probably not. I mean, I would like for you to, but the easiest version, most of us can tell if a dog looks like they're comfortable. And there are times where a dog won't be comfortable. God, that's hard for the trainers sometimes. Like, but he's not comfortable. Yes, this dog has health problems. This dog is not going to be comfortable for parts of this process that need to be done to help this dog stay in good health. We can try to make him calm about it. We can help them be cooperative about it. And that implies that he's willing to let us do the stuff that we're doing and on board. But some dogs aren't going to be comfortable, but we should be trying that as a goal. So again, energy. Energy means different things to different people. We use different energy with different dogs. It's just such a vague term. And it's ridiculous to me that it gets touted by people who don't want us to be wishy-washy fur moms, right? Like, what? I can't wrap my head around that. Now, for those of you who are like, but I really, really, really like the term energy, that's okay. That's all right. Okay. And I'm going to get personal here. I mean, I will tell you, I am totally about energy. I get it, right? I understand energy. I like the term energy, except when we're trying to specifically convey thoughts about how we handle animals or how we get things done. There's a better way to describe it. And then we can circle back. There are times where I'm going to say it's energy, but that's because I'm circling back after describing more specifically what we're looking for and what we're trying to do. Because I'll tell you what, I've been practicing witchcraft since the 80s. I'm into energy. I'm a Reiki master. I'm into energy, right? Like, I grew up in a haunted house, and if we ever meet up in a conference, we can sit down and chat about energy to your heart's content, right? I like the idea, but it doesn't help anybody who's a skeptic do the same exact things that we're doing when we call it energy. And it doesn't help people who aren't having good results. Because now, what, is their energy wrong? It might be. Because I think if we word it differently about, hey, we're going to use our body language, we're going to use our tone, we're going to try to set a mood, and we're going to try to help this dog get calm, comfortable, and cooperative. So we need to tailor it to the situation, right? Do you see how now we're being specific? And a skeptic could follow these instructions. I could explain it to a Vulcan. I could explain it to someone who's energy, you new agey weirdos, right? I can explain it to that type of person because it comes down to an interaction between two individuals, a groomer and a dog. And instead of calling it energy, which I think is kind of a crutch, we can be specific and talk about what exactly we're trying to do for this dog with this dog and how our behavior has an effect. And that's what we're measuring and that's what we're looking at. And we should be measuring, not just using. We're not just throwing out energy like we're sprinkling glitter. It's like the glitter sprinkles of dog grooming, like, energy. Like, let's be specific, all right? And it's okay to still use the term energy. I don't mean to be mean about it, but let's be specific about that. We need to think about our interactions with the dogs because that is what we're actually talking about when we talk about energy.
If you're enjoying this podcast, please remember to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes and tell all of your friends.
Now that we're talking a little bit about energy and some of these wishy-washy terms that we use, there was a time in my career when I would say, I just had a feeling that dog was going to do something. I had a feeling, right? And I think that we as groomers tend to be very in tune with what's going on. We tend to notice stuff, and it could feel like intuition. It could feel like a feeling. It can feel like energy. Because you know what? Dog grooming is all about art, and we're artists. And we get that feeling and the energy and the intuition and my training side, the training side of my brain, that Vulcan side, is all about research and learning and solving puzzles. So that's why I approach it a little bit differently. So now when I am in a situation where I have a feeling the dog is going to do something, what I've learned over the years is if I look closer, there were body language signals that I was catching on to without noticing. And I want you to think about that because there are a lot of signs that you would notice and not necessarily think about. You might not think about, I noticed he started to pace in his crate and that he's getting wound up. So therefore, when he's on the table, he's probably not going to be the calm boy he usually is, right? I mean, we do that. We start thinking I don't know. I get a feeling that dog needs to go to the bathroom, right? We start thinking, I have a feeling. But again, this is the skeptic's guide to dog grooming here. It's not a feeling as much as it's your mad skills. You are observing, you are noticing that a dog is doing something. So when you see a dog who is looking at you with wide eyes and kind of from the side of his eye, and he looks really stiff, and he's got his neck kind of leaning away from you while he's looking at you, right? You observe those signals, whether you realize it or not, because through experience, your brain is catching on to this stuff and you're noticing that. That might turn into, oh, I have a feeling this dog isn't going to be good for this next part, but it's not really a feeling, right? It's not really energy. What it really is an observation of this dog's body language, much like us using energy is the dog's observation of our body language, which we can only get through observing the dog. Because we can't really ask him, so did you notice my body language there? Was that helpful? We can only learn that by observing their behavior change when they're exposed to our body language. And I know, thinking like a trainer is weird. I think it's fascinating, but think about it like solving a mystery, right? That you're gathering clues. And the more you think about it that way, the better you can communicate it to somebody else. And that's why it's really important for us to kind of get away from this idea of energy. And I had a feeling. I had the feels. Right? And it, like I said, it cracks me up. People who are so against anything new agey, wishy-washy, don't be a fur mommy, are talking about intuition and feeling and energy. I mean, I suppose that's good, right? They're open-minded about it, but at the same time, we can do better. We can describe it better. And in my own experience, when I got away from thinking that I just had good intuition, good dog skills, understood dogs well, and started noticing what I was actually observing and being able to quantify that, to be able to describe it to the person across the room, right? Like I just noticed him, like not only was he sitting, but he was lifting one of his paws, right? Those are kind of signals. You have to look at the whole dog, like the rate of tail wagging changed, things like that you might not realize you are observing. And the more you bring it to your own attention, the better you are at seeing it. Oh, then it becomes so much more obvious. Like, whoa, there's the whale eye, which is what I was describing when I was talking about a dog looking at you from the side, and they're kind of leaning their head away from you, and it's like they're trying to get away from you and watch you really carefully in case you do something crazy, and you can see the white of their eye, right? That description, we're often referred to as the whale eye. Big wide eye, showing lots of white, comes with a lot of body language of crouching and cowering and leaning back. And it's a dog who is very likely to spring into action. So think about the better we are at observing the dogs and seeing what the dogs are doing, then we can describe it to others and we can notice it faster instead of waiting for our intuitive hit, which is really more about being able to work and do your job and notice those things, because you've been learning. Every time we're working with dogs, we're learning something. So you've been noticing that it hasn't been hitting your brain that those are the signals the dog is giving that you are understanding. So be thinking about it every time you're like, I've got a feeling. I want you to stop and ask yourself, what am I seeing? What am I hearing? What did I observe? Is it something tactile? Did I feel when that dog stiffened up? That's an important one. So some of these clues that we gather are things like what the dog feels like under your hand. And that is a tactile sensation, not just a feeling, an intuitive hit, but tactile. You can touch that. You can measure that. I don't have a measurement for it, but we can measure stiff and loose, right? It's observable. It's something we can all agree on. And those are what we want. We want to think about the facts. What exactly, precisely are we seeing that this dog is doing, that we're catching on to? And it makes us so much better at spotting it. And it makes everybody around us start noticing the same things. And that's good too. We're all learning from each other all the time. So if you're able to tell an owner, wait, stop. He's not asking for a belly rub. Oh my gosh, no, stop. But he showed me his belly. Yeah, he's not asking for a belly rub, because I cannot tell you how often that one comes up. And you see this dog laying on their back, cowering, trembling, tail in between their legs, and the owner's like, belly, 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 belly. Right? You need to think about the individual dog, what you observe, and it really helps us because now we have terminology that we can share ideas. You could write it in a note for the next groomer. We could put that in your notes. 1 snap-on comb on the body, scissor legs, whale eye when he comes out of the crate, and then he calms down. Right? We can be specific, and we can get away from terms like our energy and intuition, and I had a feeling, okay? It's okay to still use those terms. God knows I do. But I want us to be specific. I want us to really think about what we're seeing and what we're doing and how it is affecting what's going on between us and the dog, that interaction. Because grooming is such a personal interaction. It's up close, it's touching, we are all over that dog. We are very, very personal with that dog. So let's get away from words that mean 1,000 different things to 1,000 different people. Words that skeptics are never going to totally buy into. And instead talk about what we observe and what is observable.
If you'd like more information, you can find me at chrissy@happycritters.net, happycrittersdogtraining.com, or you can join the Facebook group, Creating Great Grooming Dogs podcast, or the Facebook page, Creating Great Grooming Dogs. I really look forward to hearing from you. If you're ready to go beyond the podcast, and I hope you do, I've made it really easy for you. If you go to creatinggreatgroomingdogs.com and click on your next step, you'll see all of the options. There's the Scholar Lounge community, there's the Modern Grooming Professional certification, there's Master Canine Stylist and Professional Canine Stylist diploma testings, there's the Behavior Lab for coaching and private one-on-one sessions with me, and of course, the Master Groomer Behavior Specialist program. So go to creatinggreatgroomingdogs.com and click on your next step.